Cold Open, Restoration Day. Kyoto, 1868. A proclamation echoes through the halls of power. The old order is restored. But outside, the streets and provinces are already shaking. A country is tearing its system apart. Armed men are moving. Old loyalties are breaking. A new state is being built fast. And yet the official story is not revolution. It is restoration. That is today's paradox. How did Japan perform a revolution while insisting it was simply returning to the rightful order? Cut to future, the court of history. Fast forward to the year 2140. In an international tribunal known as the Court of History, we reopen case 1868, not to judge Japan, but to examine a political dilemma that many societies face. When a system must be replaced, do you break legitimacy or do you borrow it? The Charge Revolution, undercover. Case name: the Meiji Restoration. Charges under review. Charge 1, a revolution disguised as a restoration. Charge 2, using legitimacy as infrastructure. Charge 3, manufacturing continuity to prevent collapse. The court will test one central question. Why did Japan replace its political system without declaring a true break in legitimacy? Let the record begin. Exhibit A. What was actually restored? Exhibit A, the phrase itself, restoration. In many Western revolutions, the story is clear. We reject the old legitimacy. We replace it. Sometimes that means a king is executed. Sometimes it means a republic is declared. The legitimacy anchor is removed. But Japan's Meiji transformation uses a different script. It does not announce, we destroyed the previous order. It announces, we restored rightful rule. This is not a small rhetorical choice. It is a strategy. Because restoration language does one powerful thing. It gives radical change the feeling of continuity. It says, this isn't a new country. This is the old country returning to itself. That is the mask. Now we examine what it hides. Exhibit B. What was really changing? Exhibit B, the actual transformation. Power shifts away from the Tokugawa shogunate. New leaders consolidate authority. New institutions are created. A modern army is built. A modern bureaucracy is built. A modern school system is built. A national tax system is built. A national identity is actively shaped. In short, the operating system of the country is being replaced. This is revolution-level change. So why insist on restoration? Because revolutions don't only change laws. They trigger a dangerous question. If the old legitimacy is gone, why should anyone obey the new one? Japan's answer was not to erase legitimacy. It was to relocate it. The heart of the paradox. Legitimacy versus authority. Now the court introduces the key distinction. Authority is who governs. Legitimacy is why governance feels acceptable. Many societies merge the two. The ruler is the legitimacy. Japan historically often separated them. The shogun held authority, but legitimacy could be anchored elsewhere. So in 1868, Japan performs a political move that looks strange to Western eyes. It changes authority dramatically, while keeping the legitimacy anchor intact. The emperor becomes the public symbol of political order, even as new institutions do the real governing work. This is not a fairy tale. This is infrastructure. Legitimacy is a social technology. It reduces the cost of transition. Cross-examination. Is this deception? The prosecutor speaks.
Your Honors, calling revolution restoration is deception. It manipulates public perception. It avoids accountability for breaking the old order.
The defense responds.
Your Honors, it is not deception. It is containment. A state cannot modernize if it dissolves the moral center that binds society. If legitimacy collapses, the country fractures into factions. Foreign powers intervene.
Civil war becomes endless. The court recognizes the logic. In a high-risk transition, continuity is not mere tradition. It is damage control. Exhibit C. Why this strategy worked. Exhibit C. Why the strategy worked.
Because restoration language solved three urgent problems at once. Problem 1: internal obedience. If the change is framed as rightful restoration, people can obey without feeling they betrayed the nation. Problem 2: elite coordination. Different factions can cooperate if they share a legitimacy symbol, even while competing for real power. Problem 3: international survival. In the 19th century, states that looked unstable became targets. Continuity signals governability. So restoration becomes a diplomatic message as well. We are changing rapidly, but we are not collapsing.
The cost. What did this hide? Now the court turns to the cost. When you frame revolution as restoration, you gain continuity, but you also gain ambiguity. Who truly holds responsibility? Who truly represents the people? What exactly is being restored? Values, institutions, or simply control? And this has long-term effects. A system built on continuity language can make it harder to openly debate legitimacy later because the legitimacy symbol is treated as untouchable. The paradox is powerful. Continuity prevents collapse, but it can also limit the space for radical accountability. Modern echo revolution without breaking the story. Now we bring the paradox into the modern world. Japan repeatedly shows a pattern. Major systems can change, yet the national narrative emphasizes continuity. Institutions are replaced. Rules are rewritten. But the story often avoids the feeling of total rupture. This is not good or bad. It is a style of political stability. And once you see it, you can recognize it in modern situations. When scandals happen, the question is not only who is guilty, but also how does the story end without destabilizing trust? That instinct protecting legitimacy while punishing the act did not begin in 1868. But 1868 is where it becomes modern. Verdict. The court's conclusion. The court of history offers a conclusion. The Meiji Restoration was not a contradiction by accident. It was a deliberate solution to a dangerous problem. How to modernize fast without dissolving the moral center that holds society together. So Japan chose a strategy. Revolution in structure. Restoration in narrative. A new state built under an old legitimacy umbrella. That is the Meiji paradox. Case adjourned. Next episode, Hook, pick one. Next time, the court examines another paradox linked to this one. How can a monarchy-like institution survive every regime change, even when power shifts completely? Or, how can a society blend multiple religions in daily life without constant religious war? Because once legitimacy and ritual become infrastructure, Japan begins to look less strange and more logically consistent. See you in court.